When I think of all the traps in life, throughout my life of 40 plus some years, I have to say probably the biggest that I'm aware of is the trap of being pushed to want something that you don't really want. And what I mean by that is that growing up in the 80s and 90s, I was influenced by a lot of commercials, a lot of advertising, a lot of psychology. And this, keep in mind, this is not me telling anybody what to do, and I'm certainly not pontificating or preaching any philosophy. I'm just telling about something that I've noticed, which is, as I said before, the being pushed to want something or feel like you need something that you actually don't. And the problem for me is this, is that if you're constantly pushed or inundated, or what's put in front of you is something that you're supposed to want, you're supposed to need, I think it can get you away from what it is that actually means something to you in terms of what is actually important, what really makes you happy. I'm not talking about your primal needs like food, water, shelter, medicine, that sort of thing. But what is it that you really want? When I was growing up, a lot of it had to do with being famous, being a rock star, being someone that was deemed as important and popular by everyone else. And while I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, if that's indeed something that you want, but I often question how much I ever wanted any of those things, even though at times I'd be convinced. And so when I think about that and what I've seen now and the end result, I see a lot of celebrities, I see a lot of people who are famous, and I see a lot of people who actually have a bit of wealth, or at least they have a lot more than maybe they had started off with. The problem is that when all those things come to fruition, there's often a price to be paid on the other end for all of those things. When you're famous, being anonymous becomes a bit of a luxury. And if you're well off or make better money or have more income, it only means that whatever it is that you want or the things that you get, you have to then turn around and find a way to keep all those things. And that's the thing that, honestly, I think most of the time, despite whether or not you want or you're convinced that you want, you don't realize until later on, at least if you're me, and that's who I'm speaking about, that those things come with their own consequences in terms of if you have what seems like a lot of money, a nice house, a nice car, nice things, doesn't necessarily mean those things are paid for. And even if they are paid for stuff, I'll give you this. If you ever have the opportunity to go to a pawn shop, or you're ever at a place that, for whatever reason, if a person gets in over their head in terms of debt and has to then sell off things that they once prized and paid a top dollar for, on the downside of that, on the opposite end, you'll find out really maybe just how much those things were worth. I think in the greater scheme of things, like when it comes to, say, I don't know, like collectibles, right? Remember those in the 80s and 90s, they had the Elvis Franklin Mint I can't even say the word, commemorative plates. Now, the thing of it is, whether it's commemorative plates or comic books or anything like that, the truth of the matter is, just like a lot of things, something is only worth whatever someone else is willing to pay for it. And just because someone else is willing to pay for it a certain price doesn't necessarily mean that it's valuable. And I can say that my personal experience, I equate that to everything that I've just said. And for the most part, people don't seem to really want to get that. Me personally, it took me years to figure out that what really makes me happy are sometimes things that I didn't necessarily appreciate at the time that I had them. And as I've said before, the one currency that you get that you can never get back is time. And so yeah, I think that's just my belief. I'm not saying that has to be yours, but of all the things that I really wish I could get back, that would probably be it. And I think most people that I've run across at this age, especially Gen Xers, I think most of them kind of seem to have the same view that, youth is wasted on the young kind of philosophy. I don't follow that at all. It's just that, yeah. I think the things that make me happy, I think the things that I find successful, like doing this channel, even though nobody's listening and watching or viewing right now, I'm happy doing this. I'm happy with what I'm doing and what I feel like I'm accomplishing, which, at the end may not necessarily be anything. No one may listen to these, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And I can honestly say for a good chunk of my life, I wasn't. And so whatever becomes of this, hopefully I get better as I do it. And, am fortunate enough to see where this lands. And to me, a success would be what I've said. If you've listened to my earlier vlogs, you'll know what that is. And I'll probably touch on them again. But for the most part, success to me is to do this, feel fulfilled, and build it along with others, share with others, and build a community. That to me is success. And if obviously I can make a living doing that without being greedy or anything like that, which, like I said, to me, if I'm taking care of my needs, I'm happy. And this would have been a cherry on top of that success that I mentioned. That's what I'm thinking about in this vlog. I don't know if I want to call this a vlog. I believe it's vlog number 19. If it's not, then it'll be a Voymonk video voice over. And I don't know which number that would be just yet, but that's what I'm thinking. And as far as the timestamp, it is November 16th, and it is 1:26 p.m. in the afternoon. And so that's what I'm thinking about. Until my next video vlog, take care.